June of 2016, Tucker died unexpectedly.
Oh.
And so it was, talk about rocking your faith.
Oh, yeah.
We did not know what had occurred. We got this call. The day runs around in my head like a bad dream all the time. We did understand after, afterwards that, like kids, he had gotten sick, but he had gotten the flu pretty bad a few months prior, and he ended up passing away of acute myocarditis.
Was he in the hospital, or it was just? It
was just instant.
Wow.
And so acute myocarditis is the infection of the heart. And so he had gotten sick. And we were, working through the process. It's very hard to detect in infants and children, especially of that age. So he was 7 months and 11 days old when he passed away.
Wow. So he was just kind of sick, and then all of a sudden, at the drop of a hat,
he was gone. And so I will, we're coming up on 7 years next week for that, June 14th on Wednesday. And so that is something that will always be our struggle. I will grieve our son for the rest of our life.
Of course.
My life. Trace was, and Tucker, they were just I was older. I was in my, 30s when I had kids. I didn't marry until I just didn't find the right person who could, who I felt like I was, so I waited in my life to have all of these things till I was ready. I wasn't where I could give myself to somebody else and to my kids. And I was mad. I was really mad at God. Let me be really
natural.
Transparent about that. It's all such a blur. I had, that day when we get the call, I got the call. I'll try to keep it a little bit high level because it's hard to kind of dive into. But
of course,
my ex-sister showed up with her husband, who was also my husband's. We're like best friend, like best couples, right? We're best friend couples, and they showed up, and it was hot. I don't know everything. I don't know what was going on. We weren't allowed inside. There was a lot of things that were happening, as you can imagine, investigations and things of that nature. And they showed up. And they didn't know what to say and what to do. They started praying the Hail Mary. She started saying the Hail Mary. And that's all, just Hail Mary over and over and over. And I'll never forget that because I could at least focus on that because I couldn't think of anything. My brain couldn't process anything else. And just her voice just kept going over and over. And then 2 people from St. Faustina showed up to pray with us. I remember the lady, it was a seminarian, and I don't know where he was at in the process. I couldn't even tell you, but I remember they came and they started praying because what else is it? I don't even know what they said, but they showed up. The next day, Deacon Randy showed up. So what, and I say showed up, I don't know. They just said, hey, can we come? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't have a lot in me right now.
Yeah.
And so Deacon Randy came, and what was really, it's really beautiful. He's such an amazing man, but we knew he was on the RCIA team when Drew went through RCIA. He was on the Acts team. He wasn't a deacon yet. He was going through the process of being a deacon. And so we already adored and loved Deacon Randy. So when he went to St. Faustina, it was also a sign of like, hey, this is what a blessing.
Yes.
And then Father Dak came to my house, and he sat and he talked to us and he prayed. And, I don't remember a lot in that time. and I've been told it's probably a good thing because of the emotions and the feelings and things like that, and that's okay. I don't need to remember the process afterwards, but I remember certain things. I remember when Father, I remember sitting on the front porch with Father Dad because I had a house full of people, and I wanted, and what else do you do? So instead of kicking them out, Father Dad, myself, and Drew, and Trace, who was a baby, all sat on the front porch, and he presented us. If you remember, there is a poster. It was the that we had on at the elementary school that we all looked at. Right, it's the one we have up now. And he said, "I've been praying to this for the last 2 years, and I'm going to give it to you."
Is it an image of Saint Faustina?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's the image of Saint Faustina that was always up on the altar at the elementary school. And so I remember I was like, I mean, even in the midst of all my feelings and grief, I was in awe because what an honor to be given this out of all the parishioners.
Yeah.
And I was still half and half, right? I wasn't even all the way in, right? I was in, he didn't even know who we were, right? To give was so meaningful.